So we have 3 of the members of the Outlawz united for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, man.
I've interviewed Edie and Noble, and I've interviewed Napoleon, really multiple times.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But there was always something that kept you guys from doing it together.
Exactly.
And I think it's very important that you guys worked out whatever you had to work out, and we're actually going to present this interview to the world with you guys united.
Oh, definitely.
For sure.
So before we get into where we are now, what was the reason why you guys were at odds for a while?
I think it just started, first and foremost, we wasn't at odds for a while, you know what I mean? It really just started over the last year or so, you know, with this movie, you know what I mean? You know, you had people telling Napoleon different things, lies, you know, their perspective on things, you know what I mean? So it put a rift between, you know, brothers, man, without a doubt, you know what I mean?
Because we had just seen each other in Dubai.
Yeah, I seen Edie 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Right,
You
like
know
right,
what I mean?
right
We went
after
out to eat and
Fatal
everything.
died. Right after Fatal
Yeah,
died.
Right after Fatal
died.
passed away.
And I think also, for example, we never been at odds at the end of the day. I won't lie, it's times that we probably wasn't talking. We probably was angry at each other for certain things, but it always been family. You understand? So for example, with the Tupac movie, there's members of the family, even to this day, they don't agree with the movie. So they was telling me their side of the story, which makes sense. You understand? And I have to respect their opinions or where they coming from. I never reached out to Edie and Noble to even hear their side of the story. So I'm hearing what they saying from the family standpoint of view. And when I spoke to Edie and Noble, they said what they had to say from their standpoint of view. And both sides make sense. I can understand why both sides are angry or make the decisions that they made, for a lack of better words. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I reached out to Edie and Noble, you know what I mean? I said I'm in Cali. At the end of the day, I didn't want to wait. For example, the last time I spoke to Big Psych, we kind of had some words with each other. And even though we started following each other on Instagram, I never liked any of his pictures. We were just seeing each other. He never liked any of my pictures. Then one day I was like, man, I need to reach out to Big Psych, man. And I never done it. And next thing I know, I get the word that he passed away. So I said, for us to not even be talking over stuff that's little, it's best to reach out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And really, all this confusion come from the lawyer and what she did. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get into all the details, but you know, it's like just all this confusion, haters popping up, just all this drama, and it's like, you know, nobody's even looking at who's the real culprit behind the whole.
Yeah, it's the typical story.
You know what I mean?
In the
And
music
they sitting back
industry.
laughing. Look at these dummies. You know what I mean? They about to kill each other, and it's like, wow. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It happens all the time
Okay.
throughout history.
So let's start at the beginning of the process of this movie. The movie starts coming together. Edie and Noble decide to be in the movie and play themselves.
That was we decided that on the set. Like, I didn't even want to do it at first. You know what I mean? To be
Okay.
honest with you. But go ahead.
You go on the set and you decide you wanted to be in the movie.
Right.
Now, Napoleon, you were offered to be in the movie as well.
Well, LT contacted me not to be in the movie.
Okay.
I think at one particular time, even Edie showed me some pictures of some actors or actor.
It was random. None of
They
us
was
was
actually
trying to
gonna
be in the
have-
movie at
Okay.
first. You know what I
They
mean?
was actually
But go
gonna
ahead.
have homie play Moo. What's his name? He was in The Wire. He's in the Adele video.
Oh,
Plays the lead.
Mac Wild.
Mac Wiles. Mac Wiles was gonna play
Okay, I
Napoleon.
can
So
see that.
he did reach out to me, LT Hunt. I was in New York City, and he told me to come on the set. You know, my religion, Islam, I try, not from a standpoint of view that I think I'm better than someone, but I don't want to be around drinking, women, you know, these things. So I told him I don't want to come hang on the set. And I was like, what do you want to talk about? And he got busy. We never really spoke after that until later. I started hearing things about the movie from the Pot side of the family. So I was like, I'm glad like I said in the interview, I didn't do it. Even I still stick with that decision. I'm happy that I didn't do it. Edie and Noble had to make their decision, and they done it the way they done it. And I spoke to them. The family still have some things, but I pray everybody come together. You know what I mean?
When you found out that they were in the movie, did you initially have an issue with it?
I was angry at them because I thought that Pop Moms hit them up and say, don't do the movie.
He was getting wrong
So
information.
I was saying from a
Period.
standpoint of view, look, man, if Pop Moms did that out of respect, we shouldn't have done that. When they told me that never happened, also I was reading a lot of stuff online.
Right.
And a lot of people was in my ear, which was wrong.
All out salty, tripping.
Yeah, all out of salty. Like, man, how they gonna do that? This is the woman who took care of us. And,
Right.
You know what I mean? My loyalty was with what they done. But at the end of the day, these people said they had to make a decision according to what they felt was right for them. Even when I talked to Kay and I talked to the family member, they still angry at the movie. But I don't front with them. You know what I mean? I don't say, yeah, you right, they wrong. I still say, look, man, I talked to Edie and Noble.
Right.
They told me their point of view. You guys are still angry. I think everybody should get on the phone and talk like men.
And you know what my thing with the movie is? It's like me and Edie, we stepped up to be a part of it. You know, it ain't had nothing to do with no money. You know, we make money every day. This what we do in this industry. It's like, why wouldn't we want to be a part of trying to help and make this movie the best it could be? You know what I mean? Like, once the movie came out, I seen the final version at the premiere, you know what I mean? And of course it could have been better. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but at the end of the day, people could have been stepped up and tried to do this movie a long time ago. You know what I mean? So my thing was, as far as like family members and different things, a lot of people, got paid to do, got checks for stuff, and nobody actually stepped up to say we're gonna help. And that's my problem. Like, maybe if everybody stepped up, once the lawyer messed the situation up, everybody should have stepped up and said, you know what? Okay, a family business is in order. They broke bread with it how they supposed to. Why wouldn't you want to step up and put the pride and the ego to the side and say, however we can contribute? We did that. Money B did that. Layla did that. You know what I mean? It's like, a lot of other people try to step up and play their part. Why wouldn't you? If this is actually, you can't stop it. If me and Edie sat back and said, we're not doing nothing, this movie would have came out anyway. You know what I mean? So that was our point. Like, of course we want to help. You know what I mean?
So Afeni signed off on it.
Absolutely.
She showed up on the set?
No.
You gotta understand, she was an older lady. Like, she wasn't about to do that anyway. It would have been her sending somebody.
I mean, we don't know what she
I mean?
was gonna do,
That's
but at
true,
the end of the
that's
day, she didn't show up on the set.
Right.
And she was definitely offered to show up on the set, all expenses paid. They definitely would have rolled out the red carpet for her. You know what I mean? LT Hutton handled the whole situation with respect. You know what I mean? And that was my reason for being there, to make sure the whole situation was handled with integrity. And they wasn't just using, my homeboy's name and then doing anything with it. I still feel that movie was done with integrity. They never played Pac out. They never showed him in a negative light, but they showed the truth. They showed the truth of a young man who worked hard to get where he was, made some mistakes, made some wrong moves, and ultimately it ended up with him dying. You know what I mean? And people, like I said before in other interviews, they want to put Pac on a pedestal so high that he's not a human being. You can't do that. He was a human being that made mistakes that led to him dying. Let's cut the bullshit and just call it what it is so these kids can learn. You know what I'm saying? And the people that look up to him and all these different rappers that want to say they the next Pac or whatever,
Right.
Hold on, homeboy, look at what really happened. You know what I'm saying? Don't just admire the greatness, admire the whole picture and the whole story. And even it's people that's even in his family that are not necessarily able to deal with that.
Well, you have a child with Pac's sister.
I do.
How does her and her relatives feel about the situation?
They, as far as I know, were not in agreement with this picture.
Okay, and what is their reason for not liking this picture?
Again, from what I heard, they felt like Afeni didn't want this movie to happen.
It all stems from the lawsuit, man. Like, let's be very clear. I remember from the very beginning when they got the deal for this movie, and everybody was happy. This was 2007, period. So it ain't like,
A lot of people got paid, a lot of people cashed checks.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, they was trying to say, that's when the rumors start coming out, she signed off the rights and she didn't know and all this. Nah, this went back to 2007, they got the deal. Everybody was happy about it. Then the lawyer did what she did and got them into a lawsuit. And it was like, it put everybody like this, you know what I'm saying? So instead of everybody saying, yo, our lawyer did this, it was like, nah, we gonna be mad at the movie people. Nah, you gotta be mad at the lawyer, man. And that's what we standing here seeing the whole thing like, come on, man. You put the blame on who the blame is supposed to be on. You know what I mean?
Now, Napoleon, I did an interview with you.
Yes.
And in the interview, you said,
After hearing the side from the Tupac family and the way they feel about the movie, I'm glad that I didn't have no involvement at all. You know what I mean?
When you say the Tupac family, you mean Afeni?
Yeah, Feeny, before she passed away, you know, she was pretty much, she didn't agree with that movie, you understand? But she couldn't speak about it because she have a lawsuit against her that pretty much told her that she cannot even, none of the family members would be able to tell their side of what they think of the movie. So most people think because she's an executive producer that she's involved in it, but she got sued into submission pretty much, you know? So when I heard what Tupac family, you know, how they felt about it, I said, I'm really glad that I didn't have any involvement in it.
Yes. We did an interview with LT Hutton.
Yeah.
And he said that he worked everything out with you.
But see, like when I spoke to Napoleon and he's like, thank you for clearing it up. Because the thing is, views are views. You can say anything about any scenario. That doesn't make it true. There were some bad people, you know, handling the business.
And then we put out your interview and he got upset with me.
Yes.
But then when I called you, you said what I said back then still stands to today.
Exactly. Like for me, my loyalty, I still love the family and these my family as well. Just because we don't agree with the situation, I still don't agree with the movie because when I speak to the family members, it still got them hurt. You understand? Bill, K, Glow. So my opinion never changed. You know what I mean? LT hit me up. Right now, I try my best to be respectful. If I speak to anyone, I'ma listen to him. So LT's, even when I speak to K and them, I said LT and them told me this. They say no, but this happened. So I'm like, man, it's getting a little confused. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, LT said what he had to say, but still, in my heart, I feel like the movie should have been worked out where everybody could have been in agreement on the same table. Right. That didn't happen.
And once upon a time, it was like that.
From the very beginning.
Yeah. Before cameras got to rolling, it ended up in the place where it was. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. But like he just said, why I don't understand why, especially us as a people, can't agree to disagree. Like, that shit is beyond me.
Stop cursing, man. I need to put this on my Instagram.
That's right, man. Excuse me, brother. I'm still a sinner, my bad.
We all sinners, man. You know what I mean?
Nah, but look, it's beyond me that we can't agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to always, we're not robots. Everybody doesn't have to always agree, but a level of respect should always be maintained. Right. You know what I mean? I've spoken to who we mentioned, Kay and Bill, and said why I did what I did. I spoke to them like men. They told me how they felt. I said how I felt. Now, we don't speak every day, but it's no love loss. You know what I'm saying? Like Kate Castro of the Outlawz was my best friend since we was kids. You know what I mean? We literally grew up together. We literally learned everything together until we got to be men. So that's never gonna change how I feel about him. But we don't gotta necessarily agree to be all right with each other. We could still be all right with each other and say you made your decision and that's what it is.
And like I said,
sorry, go ahead.
It all stems from what this lawyer did. That's basically my point.
No, stay on.
I'm gonna stay because that's the truth. I mean, this the same lawyer.
Okay.
When we was kids.
Now she did do it.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean?
This the same lawyer when we was kids. Pac had just died. Kadafi had just died. Having us sign off our back stuff. All eyes on me. Machiavelli. This stuff added up to millions of dollars, man.
You guys signed off your publishing and everything?
Our back money that they owed us. This is what happened. So you gotta understand. When Pac died, right?
Wow.
All his business was in shambles.
I don't even know if we should be talking about this.
Why not?
Because
we gotta go to court.
So you know what? Like I said, man, it all stems from this lawyer. This all stemmed from this lawyer, man. And she been doing everybody dirty. Ask anybody who produced on a Pac record, sung on a Pac record, rapped on a Pac record, dealing with that lawyer in the whole situation. You know what I mean? And then, hold up, let me say this one thing. And then after all this movie stuff happened, all this confusion, everybody ready to kill each other, guess what she do? She quit. After making millions of dollars off everybody. So she back looking at everybody and all this confusion online and family members and nobody in agreement. You understand what I'm trying to say? And that's the truth.
You know,
right
at the
there.
End of,
You know what I mean?
I feel you. But you
Come
know
on,
what I was
man.
gonna say, Vlad. At the end of the day, when it come to Edie, when it come to No, when it come to us, we sold the family. For example, Kay is married. I would say, to Dina.
Not yet, but they've been.
Well, they're gonna
they
get
got a daughter
married to his
Edie
little
cousin,
Castro
yeah.
about to marry his little cousin. You know what I mean? They have a daughter together. He has a child by Seth, which is Pac sister and Castro cousin. His family, his aunt and all them grew up with Kadafi. I knew Kadafi since I was 7, 8 years old. His uncle is married to Kay's sister.
Was.
So it's so like intertwined,
Intertwined,
man.
man.
that
Family.
At the end
Like,
of the
this
day,
wasn't no
it's
put
family.
together
You could
group.
never get away from it.
Yeah.
man.
Right.
So I think for me, everybody should handle it like family. You know what I mean? I made some wrong things by posting some stuff online. And then I thank
mad at
God
us.
for my Muslim brothers. Yeah, I was mad at them, you know. Thank God for the Muslim brothers that told me, "No, you shouldn't handle it this way, this and this. Pick up the phone." But I'm not. I put my pride to the side and I took that advice.
Yeah.
So I believe that's going to happen with all of them. They're going to just sit down and work it out.
And I believe
You know what I
that
mean?
too. I just think it takes time. You know what I mean?
sure.
And family is family regardless. Like he said, we have so much together, so much history together. It just things gotta cool down a little bit. You know, Afeni just passed, so emotions are still real raw.
Right.
You know what I mean? She was definitely a major part of both sides of the family, all of our lives. You know what I mean? Everybody loved that woman to death. So that's a big blow to the family. And it takes time for people to heal, you know, and I don't have no problem waiting. I expect to live a long life. So I know that day will come when we'll all be able to sit down and laugh about this and look back and say, wow, look, you know what I mean? This is what happened.
Yeah, I feel you.
In the midst of all the drama, God is still working, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Napoleon, have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I snuck in the movie theater, man. And I said, man, I gotta go see this.
See, I ain't know that. I ain't know he snuck in the joint.
I ain't even tell
He ain't
him.
even tell us that.
I ain't even know that.
He done
I
snuck in
checked
the
it out.
joint.
You know what I mean? For me, man, this was part of my life. You know, I really was curious. So I said, man, it was eating
Gotta
me
go
away,
see
man.
it,
I said,
man.
I gotta go check this movie out. You know,
Right.
it's about our lives, Pac lives. You know, I would say the movie definitely brought. I left the movie theater emotional. It brought back a lot of memories. You know.
What did you think of the movie overall?
I think personally, honestly, I think it could have been better because you know it's very
agree.
difficult because everybody have their opinions. Like, well, Pac, you can't really put the life of Pac in one movie, and you can't do this. I just think it could have been a little better, honestly. You know.
I agree.
That's why the Outlawz movie is next, man.
Okay, we'll talk about that definitely. What was it in the movie that you felt could have been improved?
I just think, man, like, what would I say? You know, for me, I haven't seen movies in years. Like, I haven't been in a movie theater in so long, besides watching what I went online. But I think, you know, the dude who played Pac, it seemed like he was missing something, even though he did a good part. You know what I mean? But I felt it was missing something. I felt from the director point of view, it was like more, a lot of the scenes, so you get into it go to the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, man, I really think, I just think it could have been better. You know what I mean? From the
Yeah, and that was, when I watched it
Yeah.
for the first time, the first thing that really caught me was how quickly they try to run through a lot of different events. And it was still a long movie at that. It was still 2.5 hours, but
Yeah.
I felt like there wasn't enough character development.
Yeah.
Like very important things in the movie, like when the cops got shot or when he got beat up by the police. It was like 2 minutes and it's gone.
You know what's crazy? Because it's probably another hour and a half worth of scenes that
Yeah, I bet.
they didn't even put in the movie.
But I laughed when I saw them. Like, boy, who this coming out, boy? He didn't know. But I also, you know, my son, my oldest son, he live in L.A. and I don't see him for the whole year. And he wanted to see the movie, so I said, you know, let me take him to check out the movie. And I enjoyed the memories was there,
Right.
but it had me conflicted because when I walked out the movie, I was like, damn, I think I should have never saw that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like sad.
Yeah. Now, people talk about some discrepancies in the movie. 50 Cent went on a whole tirade about an iPhone in the scene, which I don't even remember, and I don't even think that's
It's
even
not happening.
Yeah,
He
it's
seen
not
a
real.
picture from the set
Right.
when we was in between takes.
Yeah.
And I think Meech had his phone in his hand. You know what I'm saying? And because at times, you know, Meech remained in character during the filming of the movie, or he remained like in his wardrobe. But he was himself, you know what I mean? A 27-year-old kid. So He seen him with his phone, and they just assumed that part was in the movie. Right. And then he put up some Ciroc, which wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
And then he was talking about hookah like nobody was smoking hookah 20 years ago.
Right.
Was in the scene.
I mean, there was one discrepancy, which was Tupac performing Hail Mary.
Absolutely.
At the House of Blues.
Absolutely.
Which
too
is
big of a song to leave out.
Right.
Yeah, who said that's a discrepancy? Like,
which
he put it in there.
Oddly enough, was the same discrepancy in Straight Outta Compton. They did the same thing.
Right.
Exactly.
With the same song.
With the same song. Because it's too big of a song to leave out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's one of Pac's biggest records. So to do a Pac movie, some people think you can't do it without Hail Mary. That's why I ended up in both movies.
Right. Because I guess at one point there was like a meme that was going around. Like, I walked out of the Tupac movie and it was like,
when, see that.
The internet,
when Demetrius was Millie rocking on stage or something like that.
They was just playing. They got it on film.
Which wasn't in the movie either.
Yeah, the internet crazy, man.
Me personally,
yes,
I enjoyed the movie. I'm glad I went to go see it. And if you're a Tupac fan, you should absolutely go see it. Don't let whatever other people are saying, detract you from seeing one of your favorite artists' life played out on the big screen.
And that's the thing about movies, man. Like, how many times have you, it's all about who's seeing it and what they're getting from it. How many times you ask somebody, yo, how was that movie? And they be like, oh, that was trash. Then you go see it and you be like, I don't know what they was talking about. I loved it, you know what I mean?
But even going into this movie, I knew it was going to be criticized more than any other biopic in history because of the kind of person that Pac was and his aura, he was magnetic. Even in interviews, his interviews is platinum, double platinum, you know what I mean? Like, because you can watch a Pac interview and still get something to this day, and people want that back. They want that energy back. That energy is still around, but it's not coming back like that.
Yeah.
And Meech had an almost impossible task trying to recreate that. You're not recreating Pac, you know what I mean? You could do your best, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why nobody touched it for 20 years. You know what I mean? And I told LT when he started this, I said, yo, are you sure you want to do this? Because I wouldn't want your job for all the money in the world. I wouldn't want that job that he had. And I told him that. I said, they couldn't pay me enough to do that because you're going to get criticized so much.
I think to add on to that, it's been probably 20 Pac documentaries, so people know so much about his life. And then you got interviews from everybody who knew him about different things, so it's like people looking at it and wanting every single detail that they done had over the years. And
the lies become more popular than the truth.
Right.
Because it's a lot of misinformation out there.
Right.
And they become so big, people rather listen to that. For years, it was still people thinking that Suge had something to do with it. Right. Like Suge sat in the car and let people shoot at them, and that was like the biggest thing in the world.
Even now to this day, the people think this,
Right.
But everybody have their opinions, you know what I mean? My opinion might not agree with them all the time. They might not agree with me all the time. But at the end of the day, you still got to respect each other.
Right. And I just got to say that Meech did a very good job.
I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. And you're not going to find anyone who looks...
Maybe me, I love the fiery Pac. Yeah. So when I see him in a movie and that fire come out and I ain't really hear it, I was like, oh man, he dropped the ball.
But
at the end of the day...
That's because you knew him.
Yeah, because we knew him, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, watching a movie, it was times he looked just like Pac to me.
Right. I don't think they could find anyone that could look
to me like
closer to Pac.
Guard a little bit, the body, the face, you know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The whole thing, the body, face, the build, everything. Yeah. One of the things that came out...
I saw him slam somebody in the movie.
Oh, yeah. You saw my Steven Seagal?
My new name, Eat a Cigar. I saw him slam the dude, man. You know?
What came out after the movie was Young Buck said that he was actually cast as Tupac originally.
I never heard of that.
Buck.
Weren't you guys signed to Young Buck at one point?
No, we never signed.
But there was something.
We was definitely rocking with Buck.
Yeah.
We was definitely rocking.
You know what it was?
Yeah. We did some shows. You know what I mean? We did a lot of music. Us, Sibo. We was definitely gonna start a movement. He had Cashville Records. We was gonna go over there and help with the launching of that, but we never got to the point where it was paperwork signed because he had some legal issues.
And Buck, that's our brother, man. We rock with Buck. You know what it was? Me and him had a conversation about the movie. You know what I'm saying? And we was like, you should go for the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Stop
Try
cursing, man.
You right, my bad. Go for the you know, try out for it. You know what I mean? But you know, he did an interview, you know, running with it. Shout out to Buck though. That's
Today's
our
the
brother,
in-laws,
you know what I mean?
man. No more curse
Yeah,
words.
we ain't gonna curse.
The
You know, our
in-laws
brothers,
today,
man. You know what I mean?
Now, Jada Pinkett was in the movie. And after the movie came
character.
out,
Was in the movie?
her character,
Her character
her
was
character,
in the
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Jada Pinkett character was in the movie.
Right.
After the movie comes out, she was upset. She even did an interview, a very emotional interview about how upset she was over how she was depicted in the movie.
I seen that.
You guys saw it? The rest of you saw
I
it?
seen the interview.
I said it.
Yeah.
What did you think based on what you know of the situation, her point of view?
Me personally, I think they represent. You got to think. Jada been doing movies for, you know. Shout out to Jada. You know, I met her a few times. Beautiful, awesome lady. You know what I mean. First and foremost. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not sure if they reached out to her to ask her to come and do dialogue. But she been doing movies for probably 20 years, over 20 years, and it's like, I mean, they create the dialogue. That's just what they do. Like when Pac was in jail in the movie, the writers created the dialogue. So it's like they try to create the dialogue between her and Tupac. So if she didn't show up and give it to him, I mean, they got to create something. But I think they was so respectful with it. You know what I mean? In my opinion, you know, even when like Pac really wrote that letter for her, and she didn't know about it until after he passed away. Like to me, like how thoughtful is that for them to actually put that in there for them to, you know, have a goodbye when he was leaving Baltimore. You know what I mean? But, you know, she's entitled to how she feel. That was her good brother and her good friend. You know what I mean? But it's movies, man. And if anybody know how they create dialogue, it's a person like her. You know what I mean? So, you know, she been knowing they've been having this movie deal since 2007. You know what I mean? She could have easily stepped in and said, let me help y'all with a little bit of this dialogue. You know what I mean? Or she could have reached out and helped Afeni do the movie a long time ago. You know
Right, because her husband is a pretty powerful guy in Hollywood.
Pretty big deal, right?
Yeah.
She could reach anybody in Hollywood. You know what I mean?
And that's the
my
thing, man. A
like,
lot of
you know
people,
what I mean?
a lot of people with opinions about this movie had the opportunity to do this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not like everybody just discovered Pac 5 years ago. You know, everybody had the opportunity to do a movie.
Yeah.
LT was the one that got it done, though.
Right.
You know what I
Correct.
mean? And a black man from the culture got it done on one of our most prolific and biggest artists ever.
Right.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10, it's always somebody outside the culture telling our stories for us.
Right.
So that was another reason why I personally wanted to be involved. Benny Boom, LT Hutton, they from the culture. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, they had to learn at Pac's expense. But I would rather see that than see somebody else come in and say, this is how I'm gonna do this movie. This is how I'm gonna do this movie, and we all just sit by and twiddle our thumbs and say, you know, okay. Because that's usually how it goes.
Right.
Right. Now, when Fatal passed, I met up with Edie, and we talked about the effects of that tragic incident.
It's an unfortunate situation, man, because, you know what I mean, it's all losses, man. It's all losses. We lose somebody that was a very strong member of our family, man, and you know, a lieutenant, a general in this shit, you know what I'm saying, and working his way back from, you know what I mean, some hard times and in and out of the system and shit, you know what I mean. Fatal was really, you know what I mean, somebody's life who was taking a 180 right in front of your eyes, you know what I mean. If you've seen recent pictures of him, he was in tip-top shape, you know what I mean. He was on his shit, you know what I mean, just trying to figure it all out.
But I didn't get to talk to the rest of you guys about it. When you got the news that Fatal died in the car accident, how'd you guys take it?
Well, I got the call from the coroner. You know what I mean? Like that day, you know, it was crazy. The girl, you know, whenever I couldn't reach him, I would call her phone. You know what I mean? So, you know, when the car accident and all their phones was messed up, and you know, the little dog even died in the accident. She remembered my phone number and gave it to the coroner. You know what I mean? So I got the call from the Henry County coroners. You know what I mean? And was just devastated. You know, I just dropped him off a couple days before that. He was on his way to go bury his uncle in Jersey. You know what I mean? The funeral was on I think that Wednesday, and he died that Friday. So he had just drove up there, and I mean, it was devastating, man. It was Fatal was literally just getting to a point where he could actually enjoy life. You know, going through all the street stuff, you know, arrested all the time, you know what I mean? And even his career, like, you know, when he left the group back then, you know, when he got back with us, he was having a rough patch, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, you know, he wasn't making no rap money, you know, street money was dried up. He was like really out there literally on the verge of death or being locked up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when I was working on the Tupac Rap Phenomenon project,
Right.
they put me on the phone with Fatal to see if he would get involved in it, because, you know, Alicia Keys was involved, and Busta Rhymes and Wyclef and all these people. And we got on the phone, and he just got mad and started yelling at me and everything, and I had to just get off the phone at one point. That was my one interaction with Fatal. And it just seemed like he was very angry during certain times in his life.
And that's what I said, them last years of his life, like a couple months before he died, he literally just finally got a passport. We got a nice chunk of bread. He had to pay all his back child support. This dude literally just, you know, he was eating healthy, working out every day. Like, you know, this dude used to go fishing every weekend. Like, he was like, he finally figured out, like, that street stuff, all the stuff we've been doing all these years, it didn't add up to anything, you know what I mean? So he literally was just beginning his life, you know what I mean, as a grown man and as a responsible adult, you know what I mean? It was like, you know, I've been knowing him since we was kids. I was like real proud of where he was headed, you know what I mean? So it was devastating, man, devastating.
Yeah,
Still
same
to
here,
this
man.
day.
It was, you know, I got back in contact with Fatal through the Instagram. So like they said, he was fishing, he was working out, he was eating right. He was a whole new Fatal. We was in contact. He was saying he coming to Dubai. You know, they said he was telling me he coming to Dubai with Edie and Noble. And at that time, I was in Dallas in the summer, and I'm expecting to meet them all in Dubai. And Edie called me. You remember, huh? Mm-hmm. Edie called me in his exact words, like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Fatal just died. And I was shocked. You know what I mean? I was shocked because it was unexpected, but at the same time, it was he, at least like Noble said, his last days he was living a good life. Yeah. You know what I mean? He was living a good life. From what I knew, from what he told me, he accepted Islam, which made me even more happy. This is what he was telling me. He stopped drinking, right, smoking, eating right, fishing with his daughter.
He was focused.
So
man.
it was, you know, this gonna happen to all of us, death. You know what I mean? So it's always sad when we lose someone, for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
When you and I spoke last time, we talked about the situation of how Kadafi got killed.
Yes. Well, my cousin, I introduced Kadafi to my cousin. I introduced them together, and they became friends. They started building their own relationship even without me, you know. At that particular time, it was known in New Jersey where a lot of youngsters was getting high off of pills. I'm not sure what type of pills they was taking, but everyone was dumping pills, you understand? My little cousin Roddy, he also he always had a gun on him, you know what I mean? And imagine an individual who's not in his right mind. He probably was 13, 14, 15 years old, always high, playing with a gun, you know? He said that he was playing with the gun, pointed it in the face of Kadafi, and the gun accidentally went off. I think Kadafi died in November, if I'm not mistaken. October, I left.
10th, yeah.
October, I went to Atlanta. And I told Kadafi before I left, we need to get out of there. I think I got arrested, and I seen myself getting into some trouble. So I told Kadafi, man, we need to get out. A lot of this stuff that Kadafi did that I ain't really saying, I'm not gonna say now.
No, you know, we ain't gotta.
You know what I mean? That he was like, man, I saw him putting in some work. And I was like,
It was going down in the
Kadafi,
streets.
we need to leave. You understand? So he's like, no problem, go to Atlanta. I'm going to meet you down there. I got out of Jersey because Jersey, it was a very bad, tough situation. But before I left, I introduced Kadafi to my little cousin. Kadafi and my cousin, they used to like to pop pills. You know what I mean? This was a time where the youngsters in Jersey used to get high by popping pills. So they automatically clicked because they had something in common. Me, the only thing I used to do back then was drink. I wasn't into anything else. So they would hang all day, pop their pills, do what they had to do, and they was kicking it with each other. So it wasn't like my cousin took a gun to go to Kadafi's house and to kill him. He always had a weapon on him. And not only that, my cousin told me they was playing. My friend Kaz had Kadafi in a headlock. And my cousin pointed the gun at his face and it accidentally went off. That's enough. I don't see how an individual would shoot a gun while his friend is behind him holding him purposely. You understand? So when I spoke to my little cousin, I went to Jersey. And I spoke to my little cousin what happened. He told me it was an accident. My grandfather met. I didn't even know this. Set told me when I seen Set a few years ago that even before I met with my cousin, my grandfather met in a hotel with Set, with Kadafi moms. I don't know if Faye was there, but with Kadafi family was Set and all of them was there. My grandfather was like, what do you want us to do with him? You understand? My grandfather said the same thing to Set and them. They said, well, we want him, Yak mother, Kadafi mother said, well, we want him to turn himself in. And my grandfather said, well, at least give him one day to spend times with his kids, but I promise he would be in jail. So not only was myself telling him, man, just turn yourself in, my family wasn't backing that. My family was supporting him to go turn yourself in. You know what I mean?
When we found out Kadafi had got shot, we was at a Fanny's house. We was on the floor asleep. I get the call from one of the homegirls that was a friend of Kadafi's girl at the time, you know what I mean, and telling us. So immediately, you know, we knew what happened. She said he did it. They came to the house. They was in the hallway. And it was just like, you know, it was just hard to believe the whole accident thing. Because, you know, when it happened, you know, they was kids. They ran off, you know, and left. So when the girls heard the shot and opened the door, you know, he was there. You know what I mean?
Like my little cousin said, we was kids. He
Right.
said when we shot him, I didn't know what to do. That's the first time I ever shot somebody.
Of course they're gonna run, no doubt,
So
no
he
doubt.
panicked and ran. You know what I mean?
Immediately though, when we get on the phone, you know, I'm like, who did it? All this, you know, like Napoleon cousin. It was crazy. He get on the phone immediately, like probably the same day. He wound up getting in touch with his cousin, and immediately was telling him to turn himself in. It was
I
just
went
like
to Jersey.
No, I remember you actually got on the phone with him too, though, at the house. Yeah, you probably don't remember, bro. You know, we were just talking about that. You know, he used to drink every day, man. A lot of stuff.
Be catching up, man. Stealing some memories from me.
Since we just been back connected, we talking about a lot of different things. He's like, I can't remember the Hennessy, but
remember that.
I remember he wound up talking to his cousin when we was at the house on the phone.
Yeah.
And, you know, you was telling him to turn himself in. But that scenario was like, it was the worst case scenario.
It's a nightmare.
Ever you could think about. You got to think. He loved Kadafi. Kadafi was my family as well. He was, you know, and it split us up. That's when Fatal left the group. Fatal called. He wanted to beef with him. Fatal was looking for his cousin.
It was difficult.
It was like,
it definitely
when I
was,
mean, like that period was the worst ever. But, you know, rest in peace, Kadafi, man. That's our brother, man. And it was even his cousin. He was kids. He had to go. He got locked up. How long he did? It's like 8-9 years, man. It was like
So
the worst case scenario ever.
Manslaughter, I guess.
I think manslaughter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Kadafi had 2 girls pregnant at the time. He got 2 daughters that was born he didn't even know he had.
It was a sad situation.
It was
definitely.
like the worst scenario you could ever think of, man.
And even from his mother, like, see, there's a lot of things that can make it point that can even put me in the situation from the outside looking in to where people would question where was my loyalty. You know, one, Kadafi is my brother, literally. Like, I knew Kadafi since I was 7-8 years old, so I feel he was my brother. My cousin Roddy, we was raised as brothers, you understand? So for me, at that particular time, I'm looking, how can we diffuse the situation? Because it pretty much was going to be a war. You know, people from Kadafi hood, people from my hood. When I went back home, I seen everybody strapping up, people from Kadafi hood, calling my grandmother house,
and I'm
threatening
from
us.
Kadafi hood.
You know
like,
what I
they
mean?
was looking for his cousin at the time,
And
all the
would-
homies.
It was going
down.
It could have went down.
It was going down, man.
I was going to go to the funeral, and Kadafi mother, she called one day, was like, don't go to the funeral. I think it's going to be problems.
Right.
But me, it's hurting because this is my friend.
Right.
And the coach, if you don't go to the funeral, that's going to, my cousin did it, then I don't show up to the funeral, it's going to even look worse. One of my homies, this one I came, at first I was going to go, but this one I decided not to go when one of my friends said, no, we're going to go to the funeral. Anybody say something to you, we're going to pull out the gun and walk them outside. And I'm like, how can I have this ignorant stuff literally at the funeral of my homie? Yeah. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit back. And then that even came, oh, you didn't come to the funeral, but my intentions, and I know the reason why I didn't go, but the whole situation was terrible. You know what I mean?
I think that was a good decision.
Yeah,
it was a
I'm
great
glad
decision.
that I did it.
That was a good
That
decision,
something would have definitely happened, but
Yeah.
that whole scenario, man, it was devastating for
sad,
everybody,
right.
man. Even to this day, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just talking about it.
Yeah.
It's just, you know.
Well, Roddy, who did the shooting, he reached out to me and he wants to do an interview. So we're gonna
I think you should give him a
do the
chance to tell
interview
his side
and
of
we're
the
gonna
story.
combine it with
sure.
what you guys said. And
I think you
turn it
should
into
let
a
him tell a
piece.
story as well, man, because at the end of the day, you know, we talk about it every once in a while when people bring it up, and we tell the truth from our perspective. And it's like at the end of the day, you know, it was Napoleon's cousin. He talked to him. It was like it's an accident, but it's like, you know, Kadafi mom and, you know, his family, and, you know, it's like we wasn't, if you're not there to see it, you know what I'm saying, to say, oh, this was actually an accident, you know, only God knows somebody's intentions in their heart, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, it was just
But
crazy.
me knowing
man.
my cousin,
Right.
I don't know if you're trying to say he did it.
No, I'm not trying to say that, bro.
Purposely.
I'm not trying to say
You
he
know
did it
what I
on
mean?
purpose. I'm saying that
Nah,
at the end
I
of the
feel
day,
that.
let him tell his side. Because
Exactly,
nobody ever
exactly.
heard him come out and say,
look,
this
from
is
the
my
family's
intentions.
perspective,
Yeah.
he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? We loved Moo. We loved his brothers.
Period.
We had accepted them as family. So it wasn't like we was going to put him out on the street like,
Family
nah.
always had love. It always.
You know what I
And,
mean?
and let's be clear, people
And
was
that-
trying to get us to turn on him at this
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
On a daily
You know what I'm
basis.
saying?
Like, it was
Absolutely.
that crazy.
Nah,
bro.
it was
Like,
a
y'all
bad
moms was
situation.
very upset, you know what I'm saying?
It
And
was a bad situation.
She still felt like, because this is a
Yeah.
woman that was a part of the family for years, you know what I'm saying? And was friends with all of our mothers. You know what I'm saying? And it was almost like, I always say she's almost responsible for him being in the group.
She is
Because she was the one that came to Pac and told Pac his story. And used to tell us about him. And like, he raps too. Y'all, he would be perfect for the group.
Yeah.
You know what I
She did
mean?
represent
She was
for
on her
him.
A&R shit. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, she did.
Excuse my language. You know what I mean? Yasmin was on her A&R, get it like, yo,
Yeah.
he would be perfect for the group, because at the time,
talk.
you know, we was learning. Pac was formulating the group. It was me, K, and Kadafi, and, you know, teaching us how to get in the studio and make songs. And, you know, he came right at that pivotal point where it was like, yo, y'all got to put up or shut up. You know what I mean? Pac was on us like, yo, if y'all don't start coming up with a little bit more than what y'all coming up with, man, y'all can go, you know, go to school or, you know, figure out your life. But I need y'all to put up or shut up. And Moo came to the group, and it was like glue when he came to the group. You know what I'm saying? He fit perfectly. I still remember when he came to the group.
Nah, it was.
You know what I
He
mean?
definitely was responsible. Not
Absolutely.
saying that. No, you saying Roddy did it, but everybody have their emotions in this situation all over, because he knew Kadafi his whole life. Kadafi his cousin. His mother brung me around. So people angry and emotions are everywhere, which you cannot just throw aside of what other people feel.
Right.
You understand? Everybody entitled to their own opinion, to their own feelings. I respect that. But me as an individual who know my cousin, I know my cousin, he's not going to just go kill someone for no reason. You understand? And for me, the love that I have for Kadafi and the love that I have for my cousin, I'm glad that he turned himself in. And I'm glad that he manned it up and turned himself in. And knowing my cousin, especially back then, where a lot of people in our neighborhoods, we know coming from the street, people love to brag because they give them macho credit.
Right.
To say, yeah, I did it. What? He could have came home after his 9 years and got stripes. But even to this day, no matter what, he say, no, it was an accident. He never went back on his word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think it's a good idea to let him to interview him. But can I say something else? Which another thing that taught me the value of real friendship and family, because you got to understand, when my cousin killed Kadafi, I was around all Kadafi family as well, not only friends but family. Pac moms is his aunt, his mother. I'm in the house alone, but they showed me they showed me character. You understand? Because no one flipped on me. Even when people were saying things, move this, these brothers, they was taking up for me, the family was taking up for me. It showed me a side that I never seen, that side of the ghetto life. Because if it was my family, it'd
Because you know
probably
what
been
it was,
crazy.
Moo, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know, you wasn't responsible for that. You know what I mean? Like, when,
But you know, coming from the hood.
nah, without a
know
doubt,
what I mean?
without a doubt,
Ignorant.
nah,
It's a lot of
without a
ignorance.
doubt, without a doubt, is
Yeah.
immediately, you know what?
For sure.
If we can't get the person who did it, is
Yeah.
the family, you know how it
Yeah,
goes.
that's
You know
how
what I
the
mean?
ignorance is,
But at the
you
end
know?
of the day, when we got the call, this man was on the floor asleep right next to me. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't turn on him. He didn't do it. He right here. You know what I'm saying?
It was crazy.
It's trust me, I was getting pressure from all the homies, Fatal, everybody. Like, it's like, yo, this man, you can't hold this man responsible. It's like if my brother, you know, out sniffing all going crazy and do something, y'all gonna blame me for it? You know what I mean? It's like, in my heart, that just wasn't the thing to do. He didn't have nothing to do with that, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he turned had his cousin turn himself in. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man, we all hurting. He loved Kadafi, man.
It's a
you know what I mean?
lose-lose situation. Nobody wins. Like,
Lose-lose,
even if we would have
man.
turned our back on him, that wouldn't have been a victory for us. You know what I mean? That'd just been more pain and more hurt, and you know what I mean? More funerals.
This
you know
was
what I'm saying?
2 months after Pac died,
Yeah,
man.
it was-
We was
yeah,
all
crazy.
bro. We was all going crazy,
Messed
bro.
up.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this was 2 months. Pac died September 13th. Gaddafi died November 10th, man.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was sort of a lot of gray area over Pac's last days on death row. And there's a part of an interview that I did with you, Napoleon,
Yes.
where I said that Pac never wanted the Outlawz to be on death row. And you said, well, I'm not sure who started that rumor, but that's not true. When I went back and looked at the footage, the person who started that rumor was the two guys sitting next to you. Because that's exactly what you guys said.
what was
No,
that?
let me clear. I would tell you, I know where you're coming from. And
Because that's true and then it's not
Yeah,
true.
that's exactly.
Okay, so
Like,
let's
for
discuss
example-
it now that all of
And
you
you know
are
who
here.
the first person I heard say that? Fatal, years ago when he was not in the group.
No, but
You know what I
it's
mean?
true
But go ahead.
to a standpoint. For example, Pac didn't want us to sign directly to Death Row,
Right.
Because Pac was gonna have Machiavelli Records under Death Row Records.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we was gonna be the artists of his company, you know. So when that didn't work out, that's when we had to no other choice. We decided to sign directly with Death Row.
Right.
So maybe I should have clarified.
It wasn't
that
no
way.
Machiavelli Records.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To sign to.
Okay, because none of you guys had death row chains.
No.
Nah, because we was always, even around Pac, we would have had an outlaw chain before Death Row chain, because that's how
Absolutely.
Pac wanted us. That's how we was, you know.
And we signed to Death Row after Pac passed, and Suge was even locked up at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it was like we was all trying to get close to that music, not even knowing that we didn't have to sign to them to be close to that music. We was already on all the songs, whatever they was gonna be doing, the songs that we was already on, we was gonna be involved in.
And we was blackballed.
We didn't know the business.
was
And I was about to say we was blackball and we was off.
Yeah, we was.
We was living in we was living in Faye House, you know what I mean? And-
Either that or we was gonna be dancing on Bad Boy Records or something, man. We had to do it.
Yeah, man.
We
We had to figure something out,
Grown man
man.
decisions, man.
We had to figure something out, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the whole death row Tupac situation, because the Defiant Ones came out recently, and there's sort of this kind of split story, because in the movie there's a scene where Tupac is calling Interscope Records to try to bail him out, and they front
Nah,
him.
he's calling about his braid.
Okay.
That's, you know what I mean? It probably could have been developed a little bit more, but they was basically trying to show how Pac was locked up, owed money. Remember, this man had the #1 album while he was in prison, the first artist to ever do that.
Yeah.
You know, a million sold back when a million scan was really a million records.
Right.
So that's between $13 and $20 million that he had coming to him. You mean this man don't got the money to pay his own bail and it's only $1.3, $1.5 million? Doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now, in the Defiant Ones, Jimmy Iovine and one of the guys from, I guess, Time Warner or whatever.
Now it was Ted Field.
Ted Field.
The actual,
Yeah.
he was the money man behind Interscope because he comes from a billionaire family.
Right.
And so him along with Jimmy Iovine decided to start Interscope Records.
Okay. They claimed that they actually bailed Tupac out of jail and just gave the money to Suge to do it because legally they couldn't be bailing someone out because of all the pressure on gangster rap during that time.
Right.
Now, Daz Dillinger came out recently and said that was bullshit. He did a whole rant about that.
Yeah.
Sorry to swear.
No problem.
What's your take on it based on what you guys know?
I agree with Daz. I think it's BS, not only because I don't think it's true, but the timing is just real weird to me.
Right.
You know, you got this Pac movie that just came out, and now all of a sudden y'all want to take credit for bailing him out, when before y'all kind of like hid y'all hand. Y'all didn't never once came out publicly and said, well, actually, Suge Knight never bailed Tupac out. And I have a problem with that for 2 reasons. One, my homeboy, he believed that that man bailed him out and was loyal to that man to the last day, his last day on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Because he felt like that man bailed him out of jail when nobody else was coming to help Tupac out.
Right.
And pay for his mother's house. So being the kind of individual Pac was, he was gonna ride for you to the end just for that reason alone. Yeah. If he knew the truth, according to them, what their truth is, if he knew that, maybe he wouldn't have been so loyal and kept his distance. And then maybe he might still be here. You know what I mean? But we all know that's some garbage because Death Row was the #1 label at the time. In my opinion, Suge had plenty of money to go bail Pac out. And like Dad said, what Suge did was go get Tupac's own money to get him out of jail because they wasn't trying to give him his money. That's the real issue. They owed Tupac money and they wasn't trying to pay him his money. They wanted to control Pac because he was the kind of energy that you couldn't control. You know what I mean? And they can say all that they want now, and you know, Tom Wiley kept saying Pac was emotional. He was very emotional, very emotional. Hell yeah, you're gonna be emotional when you got the #1 album on the goddamn charts and they talking about you broke.
Well, to be fair, I just interviewed Money B, right, who was very, very close to Tupac in the early time. You know, once Death Row came around, he said he kept his distance. But what he explained to me that not a lot of people know was that
his first album didn't do shit.
Yeah.
But back then,
and 3 singles, 3 videos,
Yeah.
like they spent a lot of money on it.
they did, but Interscope, Tom Wiley and I think Jimmy Iovine was there at the time, they believed in him as an artist.
I had friends that used to go in on that album. Like my homeboys were like, yo, I know that's your peoples and everything, but he a little regular. You know what I mean? That album ain't all that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, now everyone looks at Pac and his whole catalog and it's all
But
platinum.
no, be clear, that to me, that shows like he worked his ass off to get better as an artist.
Right. But what I'm saying is that Interscope had enough faith in him as an artist that most labels would have just dropped him at that point. You know what I'm saying? They spent a lot of money on that project, lost a lot of money, and still gave him a chance to do a second album with more singles.
Yeah, because he was a movie star at that point. So it's like, okay, you gonna drop a movie star?
Well, I
Most
mean,
people
not every movie star.
That at least gonna get you a second chance.
Okay.
Right. And then the next album goes platinum. You know what I mean? Because
when I get
watched
around,
him figure out the system. Like I remember when he said, he came in from the studio one day and said, I got it. I know how to do it now. I do the songs for the niggas, I do the songs for the streets, and then I do the songs for the ladies. And I put them together on one album. That's my thing. And he worked that to perfection until he got up out of here.
Sure did.
And that's what Biggie said that he told him also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He developed a formula that most of the rappers still use to this day. You know what I mean? All of them still use that blueprint to be able to get the streets and the ladies at the same time. Because up until that point, the closest one was LL Cool J. Right. You know what I mean? But after a while, LL kind of lost his edge. You know what I mean? Pac showed him how you can keep your edge and still give something to the ladies, still be political, still be thought-provoking, and sell 1 million records.
Yeah. In the movie, there was the whole scene of the shooting that happened in the park in Marin. Edie, you were actually there when it happened. The rest of you guys, I assume, weren't.
No.
Yeah. So can you detail what happened?
I mean, the movie couldn't tell it exactly the way it happened. You know what I mean? It's no statute of limitations on murder.
Yeah.
And somebody lost their life. A kid lost their life that day.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Pac felt, he had just bought a Jeep and he was in a good mood. He was like, yo, I want to go back to, you know, to the hood, basically.
Right.
You know.
And you had just moved out to...
We had just, me, Castro, and Kadafi had went to California.
Yeah.
You know, to start our rap career, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kadafi wasn't nothing but 13 years old, like 13, 14 years old. He was really young. And Castro was only like a couple of years older than that.
And you were how old?
I was 17.
Okay. So you guys are out in Marin, and I guess it was an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert.
No, it was Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's close.
I was close.
Yeah,
So
it was Frankie Beverly and Maze. Like they did this big concert every year, in the park for Marin City. Marin City is a town that consists basically of these projects. It's one way in, one way out. At the time, it was one way in, one way out. You had the projects and you had the police station and you had a liquor store. That's it. And
That was the town?
yeah,
That's crazy.
that was
well,
the city.
and Marin's, there's a really rich area of Marin also.
I was about to say
The
because
project part, yeah.
this is where we mostly
Kicked it at.
we lived it at because less than a mile away you have some of the richest property in the
it's
world.
the ghetto. It's the ghetto
You know
on
what I'm
the
saying?
right.
And
West of the USA.
that's where
Exactly.
Pac's mother eventually ended up living her last days at, in this very area. Beautiful place, but it's the ghetto,
Yeah.
the hardcore ghetto. You know what I'm saying? So Pac wanted to go back and just show, local kid made good. Be an inspiration to the kids. It was a bunch of kids in the park. He knew it was gonna be, a joyous occasion for people to see him because, the album wasn't as popular as he may have liked, but Juice was a hit, and people, like he was that guy at that time, especially in Marin. Pac was the one that made it and put Marin on a map because when he did interviews, he would talk about how he was homeless, how he struggled up there, and that was the exact thing that certain people were mad at him about because he said he was homeless in Marin. He said he slept on park benches. He said he had to sell drugs to survive, and they didn't like him saying that about the town. Ignorance, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was his truth. Why would you be mad at him for saying that?
Okay. So what happened?
Well, when we got there, immediately when we got there, it was like all these people just turned around and just converged on Pac. It was like the whole park. And it was all love. Everybody was happy, little kids. He was hugging kids, kissing babies. He was on his politician thing, you know what I mean? Taking pictures if you had the little Polaroid joint or whatever. And these dudes just came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It was and they started having words with Pac, you know what I'm saying? And Pac was trying to diffuse the situation because he knew what was around and he knew what these cats was capable of. And he also knew, what all of us was capable of as far as what we came to that park with. You know what I'm saying? So it was us, it was his stepbrother Mo Preem, one of his best friends from Baltimore, Mouse, and me and Castro. And Castro had a broke leg at the time. You know what I mean? Kadafi was tired of Cali and he had left like a few days before that. And so it was just us and this whole park around us. And one of them took off on Pac. You know what I mean?
They punched him in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One dude punched Pac in the face, and that dude that punched Pac in the face, the littlest dude that was there, Mouse, knocked him out. Cold. Bam. He dropped like a sack of potatoes. And then after that, we just started hearing gunshots. And we turned around and ran. And the park just spread like the Red Sea. All these people just started running in different directions. Because after that dude got knocked out, gunshots started going off. You know what I mean? And so we had to run across this park to where the truck was at. It was like a 100-yard run. And I'm running and I'm hearing bullets whiz past my head.
Oh, so they were shooting at you.
Yeah, they were shooting at us. People were shooting at us, you know what I mean? And so we got to the fence and I went to climb the fence. Now, I'm a big dude, so I'm not climbing this fence as fast as everybody else, but I'm getting up this motherfucker because they shooting at us and I could see the whole park coming towards us. We don't really know why the whole park is mad at us now. We like, hold on, we beefing with a couple of dudes. Why is the whole park chasing us? And I just heard this voice in the background saying, yo, Mout, yo, Mout. And it was K, it was Castro. He had a broke leg. So I had to stop and I literally had to carry him over the fence to get to the truck. But it slowed us up because they had to wait for us. So by the time we got to the truck, the crowd had caught up to us. And they started tearing the truck up. They started throwing bricks. Cass was pulling out guns, aiming it at us like, nah, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him. They killed the kid, they shot a kid. And we was like, what? You know what I mean? We still don't know what it is. And they literally tearing this dude brand new Jeep Cherokee up. He just bought it and put like 4 12s in it, 4 12 subwoofers in the back. damn near weighing the truck down. He could barely drive it, you know what I mean? Because the subwoofers is taking up the whole truck, real hood shit, you know what I mean? And he laid on top of us.
Tupac.
Yeah, he laid on top of us. He was getting hit in the head with bricks and everything. And he laid on top of us
While it was kids, you know what I mean?
while Mo Preem was trying to figure out how to get out. You know what I mean? He kind of panicked a little bit, understandably so, because it was literally a whole park full of people, you know what I mean, trying to kill us. You know what I mean?
So Tupac climbed on top of you guys and protected you guys with his own body.
Yeah, we got in the back seat, and he was just like, lay down.
Wow.
And he was laying on top of us.
Okay. And then finally you guys managed to get away.
Well, we Mo made a wrong turn and drove us back into the neighborhood.
Mo Preem, boy, sound like you.
Y'all get
He
away.
drove y'all right back into
Bring
the
it back to the
He
commotion.
drove you out of the hood, right?
He
to
drove
the
us
chaos.
back
That's crazy.
to the chaos, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And that day, I gotta be honest, the police saved our life. Because if it wasn't for those cops, we'd have been done deal. It was cats pointing a 12 gauge gun and a 12 gauge. I remember a 12 gauge in my face. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So you guys all get arrested?
Yeah.
How did you feel when you found out that a kid died?
I felt terrible. I felt terrible, and I felt even worse because it was the first time I seen Pac cry since we was kids.
Oh, he cried.
Yeah.
All of you were questioned by the police, I assume. But they ultimately never found who did it.
Nope.
But Pac sort of got the blame for it.
Of course. I think he got sued.
Oh, he got sued?
You know what I mean?
By the family?
I think it was one of many lawsuits that he eventually, you know, had to settle. And it was a kid from the neighborhood. You know what I mean? He knew that kid's family.
How old was the kid?
He was very young.
Like 5 years
I don't want to make a mistake, but he was very young.
It's unfortunate, man.
Very, very
Just trying to
sad,
Show
man.
up and have a good time, man. That's what ignorance do.
Now, Spice One did an interview with us about a situation that happened in Chicago. It was over this kid who had joined a gang in Chicago named Yummy.
Me and Pac was in Milwaukee and we did a show, and he was talking to some gangster disciples because somebody, I guess a 7-year-old vice lord had shot an 8-year-old gangster disciple, or vice versa. I didn't know how it went, but he was pissed off, and you know, he was really mad. I mean, I was mad and I didn't like that shit and it wasn't cool, but he was like pissed off like it was his kid or something. Like he was hot, and he went out there to the audience, to the crowd, and was, you know, and was talking to all of the gangster disciples, like calling them all kind of motherfuckers, and they ain't shit, and y'all motherfuckers is killing the kids, and you punk motherfuckers and shit. You know, and then, you know, them motherfuckers ain't no punks. You know, they try to fucking kill that nigga, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, he came and, you know, got me and shit. I picked up my Glock in the chair, and I walked out there with him and shit, and I'm like, hey, you know, get your, what the fuck, calm down, you know, chill out. They wasn't really fucking with me, but they was really after Pac, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, shit, they couldn't get mad at the motherfucker because he didn't want that shit to happen, you know what I mean? That shit, it just ain't cool.
What I never realized was that when Tupac did that prison interview, there was a picture of Yummy behind him in that interview. So obviously this was a very important event in Tupac's life. But you were actually there in Chicago when that happened, right, Edie? Were the rest of you there or no?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay. So what exactly happened?
I mean, Pac had read that article on the way to the show. At that time, I think Yummy Sandifer's picture, that same picture you seen in that interview, was on the cover of Time magazine, and they had the title was Child Predator or something like that. And you know, Pac was a very sensitive dude, especially when it come to his people, you know what I mean? And you know, he was livid. He was disgusted by the whole story. He didn't understand it. He didn't understand why a kid had to be, you know, murdered. It didn't make sense to him. You know, it ended up in his music. If you listen to Me Against the World, Yummy Sandifer's name is mentioned, you know, throughout the project, and it's something that stuck with him. And so we go to do the show, and this dude, he lost it. He basically lost it.
On stage?
On stage.
What did he
lost
say?
it on the gang members, because there was a lot of dudes in the crowd, you know, throwing up gang signs. The gangsters love to come to Pac shows, you know, and there was certain songs that he would do that would just send them over the edge, so they throwing up their gang signs, but Pac is not looking at it like they saluting him. They really was just, you know, enjoying the music, loving the fact that he up there, and this is how they celebrate. They start throwing up their hood and throwing up their signs. But Pac is thinking about Yummy Sandifer, and he lost it. And basically, you know, threatened a crowd full of gangsters, like, yo, y'all keep killing kids, I'll murder all you motherfuckers.
Keep it clean, man.
Well, you know, I want to quote the man right, man. He ain't say MFs. You know what I mean? That man, you know what I mean? He said what he said, and they lost it. You know, they lost it on us, man. We start fighting with the crowd. We throwing bottles at them. They throwing bottles at us. They trying to get on stage. You know, it turned into a real ugly situation.
I guess the shooting happened.
I don't know. You know, it was rumored that they were shooting. I don't know, man, because after a while, it was like obvious we wasn't going to win this one. So it was time to get the hell up out of there. You know what I mean? Because you talking about a crowd full of hardcore gangsters.
Yeah, GDs and BDs and all that. Yeah.
All that.
Very sad situation about Yummy, too.
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, Pac was young, and I don't think he understood it from their perspective. All he seen was a little kid got shot. But prior to him getting killed, Yummy Sandifer was on a rampage. And as far as they was concerned, he was making it too hot in the hood. So something had to be done. You know what I mean? But the real issue was what created a Yummy Sandifer. It's not what he was doing or the fact that how he died, is why was he doing that at such a young age?
Yeah, absolutely. I did an interview with Lord Jamar that we recently put out, and he said that he saw Tupac spit in the cop's face.
Wow.
Do you guys remember that?
I probably wasn't there for that.
I don't think I was there either.
Shout out to Lord Jamal, man.
We done seen this motherfucker spit in the face of a police officer,
You
and
saw it?
nothing happened to him.
What, you saw it?
Yes!
What was the situation?
Motherfucking, first of all, this motherfucker was riding around in a Benz in Cali, guns in the trunk, with no license plate. Just a Tupac sticker where the license plate goes.
Why did he not have a license plate?
Because he didn't give a fuck.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like, this is the type of shit that he was on. So, like, I don't know, niggas was at some shit, Snoop and them was there, fucking Naughty by Nature and them was there. Some fucking shit jumped off at an event, and police was out there, and you know what I mean, trying to get move back, fuck you, motherfucker, puh! You know what I mean?
He spit in the face of a cop.
Spit in the face of the cop, and he ain't get locked up.
Shout out to Lord Jamal, the brand newbies, man. OGs right there.
He don't age that, man. He don't
Yeah.
age, huh?
Oh, no doubt.
The same, man.
I did an interview with Chris Carroll, who was the first responder in Vegas, and I made a comment that Tupac hated the police. And a lot of people were like, yo, fuck you. I'm sorry. You know, a lot of people like, yo, Tupac didn't hate the police. He just hated crooked police. But I kind of got the impression that Tupac just didn't like the police in general.
But, you know, Pac mentioned that. I seen in an interview when Pac was like, he don't like crooked police. He said the ones that do their job and the ones that get out to protect, he said, we have nothing but respect because these people put their lives on the line every day. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't think nobody really got love for crooked police or anybody crooked in general, you know? Mm-hmm. But, you know, like if you talk to Edie and them, their history was different, man. They've been seeing police knocking at their doors since they was kids, you know what I mean? So I don't really know what's in that, you know, how they
Yeah,
feel.
I mean, you know, his perspective of law enforcement was just like he said, man. He didn't like the crooked police. You know, as far as Chris Carroll's story, I could see that being true because, you know, he was that kind of individual where he was very aware. You know what I mean? So I can see in that particular moment him thinking like this may be my last words. You know what I mean? Because remember, this is the guy that had put his middle finger up while he was on the stretcher. That shit made the cover of the Daily News. That's an epic picture. You know, who thinks like that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Most people be sitting there like, yo, I hope I make it out of this. I hope I survive. Not Pac, he's thug life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Crucial.
Yeah, and Tupac's last words were "fuck you" to the police.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I heard about it and I seen it online. It's sad to me, not because it's sad that he passed away like that. You know what I mean? Not because of the last words. So when I read these things, I look at it from a different standpoint of view. You know.
One of the because people love the conspiracy theories behind the.
They love them more than
behind
the
Tupac,
truth.
especially. Apparently, someone sent me a video of some white girl in Vegas being interviewed, and she said that a helicopter came to take Pac when he got shot, but when Chris Carroll told the story, he said an ambulance came. You were there.
No helicopter.
There was no helicopter. No. Okay, that sounded like BS.
She might have been high, man. So
okay, I'm glad you cleared
Vegas
that up.
prostitutes, maybe. I don't know. people be talking to anybody.
Boy, you interviewing the Vegas prostitutes, Black.
No, it wasn't my interview. No, it was an interview that came out like during that time.
I was just messing with you, bro. Detective Vlad.
No,
you
people,
you went
gotta
a whole
understand,
different deep, Vlad.
Right.
Detective Vlad.
Oh, Detective Vlad, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, man. I mean,
Vlad
people
asking
like.
some good questions.
Nah, I'm just, man, that's
he
my
get it
job.
out of it, yeah.
I just want to,
the prostitutes, though. That ain't cool, man.
My main thing is to try to get the conspiracy theories out
too
of
many.
out of the
It's a
picture.
lot of
A lot of them.
That'll never stop.
They believe
right?
the lies over the truth.
Yeah,
Right.
man.
Sure.
That'll never stop, bro.
One of the things depicted in the movie was that Tupac and Snoop were beefing right before the shooting happened. Now, you guys were there when that happened?
Me and Napoleon was.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
Okay,
I was
so
there.
tell me about that
It
situation.
definitely was some tension. You know what I mean?
We was out there. I think we was in the limo in front of the hotel or something like that, and we was listening to the radio. And Snoop and them, he had just went on. I think it was Angie Martinez, and they asked him the question, how he felt and if Big and them, how he felt about Puff and them. He was like, them is his homeboys, which they was. He been had a relationship with him, and Pac just in the midst of hit him up, and the rant that Pac was on, not the rant, but the wave he was on at the time, you know what I mean? And he didn't like it.
And not only that, like what No said, they was homies, but you got to realize, look at it from Pac's standpoint of view. Now we older.
Right.
And I'm sure Pac was alive, he would be thinking much differently than he was back then. Him and Snoop would have probably been sat down and talked. But, Pac was angry not only because not just because of that interview. A couple weeks before that, people don't know that Pac and Snoop did songs dissing Biggie. I remember hearing it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So Pac looking at it like, okay, you dissing songs with me, you riding on my enemies together, because Snoop got his trailer shot up one time, and when they came back from New York, they just started doing songs going at him.
Okay, so
matter of fact, the whole Death Row was like, you had R&B singers doing diss records. The Bad Boy, like it had really gotten out of control.
It was crazy.
Okay.
It had went way to a level of.
Okay, so there are songs with Tupac and Snoop dissing Biggie.
Yeah.
You can go online and find these songs.
sure.
There's a record
so
called
they got leaked out.
NY87. They got leaked out.
So
It's online.
Pac was really mad, like, cause he's that type of, like Edie said, Pac all in or he not in at all. You know what I mean? His loyalty, like if he was the type of person that Snoop doing a song dissing somebody, Pac like, okay, you beefing with him, Snoop, I'm with him.
Right.
I'm with you on that. So Pac look at it like, okay, if this is how you feel, nobody can really say why Pac was mad but him, But Pac looking at it like, come on, man, you were just in L.A. dissing him with me. Now you on the radio saying something different. You know what I mean? So I think that triggered some type of attention, which was, I think it would have worked this way itself out. Pac had he did definitely have love for Snoop. When Pac passed away, Snoop was,
sure.
They had love for each other.
Right, because Two of America's Most Wanted was, I feel, one of the best songs that Pac and Snoop ever had, period.
Yeah.
period in their
Classic
catalogs.
record.
Yeah.
And their chemistry on record was
Incredible.
Was
amazing,
incredible.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we was talking about doing a Thug Pound album, we had talked about that a lot because that's how tight we was at one point.
Thug Pound.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thug
The
Pound.
craziest album ever.
I remember
There
that.
was going to be a Thug Pound. Why have I
Absolutely.
never heard of this? A Thug Pound album?
The
Absolutely.
fans
You
know
can talk
about
to-
it.
You can ask Daz about it. Daz know. We had actually started on it.
Right.
One of the records was
Initiated.
Initiated was the
Yeah.
first record.
Yeah.
And
Jack
we had
Move,
other records
couple
that we
joints.
did together as a collective, but they just never came out.
Yeah. Pac, Snoop, Dog Pound, and the Outlawz. Can you imagine that as a super group?
My God. That
That'd
would have
been
been like
like-
the biggest thing
That'd
ever.
have been over for
Right,
everybody.
with Pac and
Oh,
Snoop
it'd been
all
over.
over it, and
It'd have been over for
right,
everybody,
and
man.
the dog Daz and Corrupt
Right.
and all that production and,
Come on,
and
man.
everything.
Had some Nate Dogg hooks up.
Yeah,
in
Nate
there.
Dogg.
It'd have been
Yeah,
over.
Warren G do a little something like.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd have been the one.
That would have been the one. So that was the reason why Snoop didn't go to Vegas.
You would have to ask Snoop why he didn't go to Vegas. All I know is he definitely didn't go to Vegas. But he came. He came towards the end. You know what I mean? And he was real.
He was affected, yeah.
He was affected.
hurt.
He was
Yeah.
hurt. You know what I mean? Because they had a genuine friendship and a brotherhood. They was neighbors for a long time, and it was just this one disagreement towards the end
Right.
that made it.
I'm sure they would have worked it out.
I believe
what
they
mean?
would've
They
too.
definitely would have worked it out.
Yeah, definitely. Pac had love for that dude, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Tupac comparisons just continue on and on with new rappers.
This
One
been
thing-
going on for
one-
20 years, Vlad.
One
Just-
thing is
just to let
interesting
you know
though,
that.
like
This ain't
I
nothing
just
new.
interviewed MC8. He said a very interesting point.
Us over here on the West Coast, you ain't bigger than the next motherfucker. I don't give a fuck who you are. Everybody your own man. That's how we feel. So, motherfucker, you don't call yourself another nigga. We did that in the neighborhood. Like, if I'm 8, that's little 8. Or if that's OG, that's little OG. But nobody went around like, yeah, I'm 8 easy. Or I'm 8 cube, or I don't get it.
They're always down
That is
south,
true.
East Coast. You don't see Kendrick calling himself the new Pac,
Right.
or you know what I'm saying, or E40 calling himself. You know
what
the
it is,
resurgence of
man?
Tupac.
It's just mentioning Pac name. It gets you a certain kind of attention.
Right.
Man. And that's just good or bad. You gonna have your fans come out. You ain't nowhere near. You know what I mean? People just these days, people like attention. If
Right.
it's good or bad, man. You got people saying stuff about us now. Like, we that hot? That, you popping. You know
Did
what I mean?
Did you guys see the Black Youngster video shoot?
I seen the
I
picture.
think you might send me a link, man. See, I don't even
seen the
listen to
picture,
music
man.
no more.
Let me tell you
But
something.
I laughed so
Suge said
hard.
something real interesting to us. I know you remember this. After Pac died, Suge sat us down. We had a meeting, and he asked us one question. And he said, which one of y'all gonna be Pac now?
I remember that.
And we all looked at each other and looked at him like he was crazy, like, bruh, can't nobody be
Right.
Pac. You know what I mean? None of us gonna be Pac. He said, y'all better do it before somebody else do. And we didn't understand what he was saying,
I
but
remember
Suge
that.
understood how this was gonna affect. He saw long range.
Yeah.
We was just thinking about right now. We was in our feelings. We was like, bruh, you retarded for even saying that to us right now. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and then what happened was
Wow.
Suge went and signed The Realist,
Yeah.
who sounded
Yeah, because I guess he
like
said,
Tupac.
y'all little niggas don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I'm going to do
I'ma
it. You
try
know what I
to
mean?
do
I'm going
it,
to show
yeah.
y'all what it is. You know what I mean? Of course, that was incorrect
Right.
because still to this day, it has been nobody that can ever, recreate that energy like I said before. And unfortunately, really, we all know the Realist, and the Realist is a good dude. You know what I mean? He's somebody I consider a friend to this day.
He's a real
but
good.
Okay,
Good.
but you guys
he's a
didn't feel
solid individual.
You guys didn't feel some type of way when this.
Absolutely,
At
we
first,
felt
of
some
course.
kind of way at the time.
Absolutely. We could
But
have
when
got
we met
into
him-
it a little
Yeah,
bit.
but
you know
when we
what I
met
mean?
him, you know what I mean? We just clicked. I think we was angry and we had some words. and
was.
stuff
We
like
had
that.
some
But when
words
we
with
met
him.
him, we knew where he was coming from. He was doing it from. He loved Pac. You know what I mean? And he loved us. And from that time, we still keeping in touch to this day.
Yeah, that's
I
our
be
homie.
touching with.
That's our homie right
That's
now.
dope.
Back then, he wasn't our homie.
Because I had heard rumors that Suge got Realist to finish off some unfinished Pac songs?
I've always been one of the people that worked on the posthumous music, and me and the Realist was never in the studio together working on any pop music. Like I would never do that. I would never stand for that. You know what I'm saying? If the vocal ain't there, it just ain't there. That was always my perspective when I worked on music. Now, if something happened when I wasn't there with his music, because a lot of hands touch Pac music, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I wasn't there for that. But me, I would never ever stand for something like that.
Sure.
Well, like having them do different ad-libs or
like, you know, if there was a verse or exactly. Like or if it was like a half a verse. That's what I heard. That's
and
what I heard.
also would be able to hear that.
Yeah,
I never heard that on anything.
So. Okay, fair enough.
You know, the only time I heard somebody manipulate Pac vocals was actually the Eminem album that he did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first time I heard, you know, different words being put in different places and things of that nature. But I didn't have nothing to do with that album. Pac's mother made a choice to let Eminem work on that project. And, you know what I mean, didn't let us, you know, we didn't work on that project. As far as, you know what I'm saying, me and Castro, as far as finding producers and going in the studio and actually doing the remixes, I didn't touch that album at all.
Yeah. How do you feel when Kendall and Kylie put their faces on Tupac images and made some T-shirts out of it?
I don't even know who that is. Who is it?
The Jenners.
The Kardashians. You didn't hear about this?
Man, they know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I seen the pictures, man.
Yeah,
I seen the pictures, you know.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful at best, but I don't expect much from them because they kids, they young, they don't really know. Pac and Big have gotten to a level where it's like Bob Marley, it's cool to have a Bob Marley shirt on, even if you don't know nothing about the man and what he stood for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's it's hip. It's the thing hipsters do. So I didn't take it offended like, yo, I gotta go find them and check them. It's like they kids, they don't know no better.
Yeah.
Yeah, real talk.
Now, Napoleon, I kind of found out after the fact, so we never covered it.
Yes.
But you and Tretch got into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Edie, you're the one that hooked me up with Tretch when Tretch did the interview. You know, you guys are friends.
Tretch, that's our brother.
You and Tretch are friends as well.
No doubt.
You and Tretch had a good relationship or not?
Yeah,
He was
man,
his
Tretch
brother
was
too,
like the
man.
big homie,
Without
man.
a
I got
doubt.
a lot of love for. Even I still have love for Tretch.
Okay.
You understand?
So out of nowhere, he said, like, be careful who your enemies are or something. He showed a picture of you.
Yeah, I laughed when I seen it. Like I was laughing because it was comedy, and then it started getting a little out of control. You know, he said some things that I didn't like, which I really try my best not to get caught up with that internet stuff because everybody is a gangster on the internet. Everybody have an opinion on the internet.
It's crazy.
But when he started saying stuff like he ran to Dubai because he got chased out of the hood, like ignorant stuff. You know, I checked him on that from a standpoint of view like you are elder. We should, especially you, should be teaching people them if you can to make it out of the hood. You know what I mean? But we had some words, you know, we spoke on the phone and we talked like men, and he removed the post, I removed whatever, and it's always been respect. I feel like Tretch going through some things personally that I hope he gets some help for. And I told him even on the phone, I said, man, growing up in New Jersey, I used to look up to you. You know what I mean? And believe it or not, when people was calling me from Jersey saying we going to his grandmother's house, I said, leave that alone. That's ignorant. I feel I'm at a point in my life, if a person says something, I don't care about words. You understand? I'm at a point in my life when he says something to me, it wasn't his character. So I didn't mind getting on the phone to do whatever it take to remove the negativity.
And I reached out, and we wasn't even really on that good terms at the time because, you know, moved to send a shot to different things. But I reached out to Tretch immediately as well, you know what I mean? And was
he didn't know if we even checked him. You know, I think he thought
it wasn't even that we checked him. It was just
told
like
him he was wrong. You know
absolutely,
what I mean?
we called the brother, you know what I mean, and we got to the bottom of it. He basically just took something wrong, a different perspective of something that he's saying.
He told me why. He said because I said in your interview.
You ain't even gotta put that out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's over.
It was over my interview?
No. It was something I said in the interview that he took it the wrong way.
You know what I mean?
Which I told him, okay, that's how you feel. But
Right.
at the end of the day, be careful. You know what I mean? And we at the end of the day,
That's our
something
brother,
positive
man.
came out of
Yeah.
something negative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I was
That's
just,
the
he was
most
basically,
important.
you know, when he put it out there, like, you know, move, traded on Pac or whatever. I just hit him up, you know, on his page when he did the post, like, that ain't true. You know what I mean? Move love Pac, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it was just in the midst of this, all the movie stuff, bro. It's just been so
It was
much
a lot of
confusion.
drama, bro. That's
There's
why I-
haters
and-
coming out the
and-
woodworks.
And look what from the
it's
good
crazy,
stuff that
man.
allowed me, a lot of positive came out of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
sure.
when I picked up the phone, when one of Tretch's boys called me and said, "Would you speak to him?" I said, "Of course." We spoke like men.
No doubt.
And it was a good positive. After that, I hung up. I said, "Wait a minute, man. If I can speak to this individual, I've been knowing these like my family. Why am I picking up the phone calling these dudes? You know what I mean?"
True
so
story.
I felt like, how can I talk to him? I should have did it with them first. So I picked up the phone and we called. And we spoke, man. So I'll thank Tretch. You know what I mean? You brought some positivity out of this.
Right, because before, you know, today, I would speak to Edie on the phone,
Yes.
and he would tell me, you know, about how he felt about Napoleon.
Yeah.
And then I'll talk to Napoleon on the phone. He would tell me how he felt about Edie. And I'm like, do you guys want to speak to each other? I got both of y'all's
No,
phone
you did.
numbers.
And Vlad said that, like, why
Yeah.
you don't reach out? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I brought it
You know
up.
what I mean?
It's
You
just
know?
pride, man, sometimes. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to put the pride away as grown men. Like,
And be
it's my
clear,
brother,
it
man.
never changed the way I felt about
Right.
this brother right here. You know what I
No
mean?
doubt.
Like, I literally watched him grow up like he watched me grow up. You know, we went through changes together. You know, that's a bond that can never be broken.
Made history together.
Made history together,
You know what I
all
mean?
of that. You know what I'm saying? Those are bonds that can never be broken. And I'm a firm believer in giving people time to work through whatever they going through. I don't take it
That's his
personally.
personality. Edie always been like that. And no, they always had good personalities where they don't really trip, you know what I mean? But like I said, I was angry at him, but never from a standpoint of view where I wanted something, like it wasn't hatred. Where I was like I want something bad to
It's a
happen. to them. You know what I
misunderstanding,
mean? Like
man.
I would never like pick up the phone like, man, did today something bad happen? I'm not that evil. I never had evil towards them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think the more you have love for a person, the more they can emotionally they can deal with you, they can bring out your emotions quicker. If you really got love for a person, they're gonna have you react in a way where you like, damn, where would that come from? But you don't care about a person, like, man, let these people do whatever they want, let the people say whatever they want. So it was really the love that I had from them that made me like, how can they do that? Which I thought they done something, but they explained, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
from their standpoint of view.
Well, this is great, man. Like, I went out of my way to make
Yeah.
sure that this
Nah, I'm
interview
glad
happened.
we
That's
did
a
this.
beautiful
Glad we
thing,
did too.
man.
Absolutely.
I ain't seen
Real
Moo in
talk.
probably almost 14, 15 years.
Oh,
man.
wow.
Yeah,
You know what I mean,
it's
even though
crazy.
we was like I said, we was always talking though. It just when this whole movie thing came into the play is when it was like some drama. But I always
But you gotta understand,
supporting
I had
the
just
man
seen
and proud of
your
the
son.
dude. He just
And I
seen-
still sent
He sent me the
him a
picture.
picture.
And I was-
You know
and
what
I-
I mean? 'Cause
and even
all
though
our
I-
sons was together for the first time.
And I
like
posted
my
it.
son and his son around the same age.
Yeah, yeah.
They played together as babies, you know what I mean? And they had seen each other for the first time in like 15, 16 years. And I took a picture and sent it to Moo. You know what I mean? Even while we wasn't talking,
wasn't
like
even
look who I
talking, you
ran
know what I
into.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
it's
Because
like-
that's his son. You know, I look at that. I look at his son like my son.
Period.
So when I seen him, I was happy, and I told him a story. I was like, "Yo, your son walked in on your part on Run the Streets or for
Yeah,
All
he told
Eyes
me
on
something
Me."
like that.
I could not make this up. I'm in there getting their hair cut, and the barbers, they some of our homies we've been known for years. So they always playing Pac. They always playing music, period. But this day they was playing Pac, and Run the Streets came on, and Moo Park came on, and his son walks through the door.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's just
Nah, he
how,
sent it
it's
to
just
me,
how
you know what I
God
mean?
worked, though, man. In the midst of all this confusion, everybody trying to go to war, everybody coming out with their hater stuff. You know what I mean? We get back online with our bro, man, and deal
And
with
it's
it like
life,
grown
you know,
men,
like brothers, they
you
always
know?
fight. Like even in the group,
Right.
we always had our
Yeah,
arguments.
absolutely.
We all go months without talking to each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I think it's corny, honestly.
People
You know
love
what I mean?
separation, man. People love drama. You know what I mean? It's like,
And this
come
is
on,
really,
man. It's
you know,
crazy.
for the people that see interviews, these interviews, this is like a crash course on conflict resolution. Like if we can learn how to have sit downs like the mob do, they call it sit down. You know what I mean? And you work out your issues, and then if the issue can't get worked out, somebody get whacked. But 9 times out of 10, the issue gets worked out because you you put the ego to the side and you just have a conversation.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna be online going back and forth with these dudes.
corny,
That's what we not gonna
Right.
do. You know what I mean? You
And
got
at
a
the end of
problem.
the day,
you got a
yeah.
real problem. You're gonna have to see me outside, not on my phone yelling. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think I respect people that can, you know, come together and talk. You know what I mean?
man.
Like, man, because it's easy to take it to that another level. You know what I
Very
mean?
easy.
It's the easiest
but
thing,
nobody
man.
it's hard for grown men to do grown men stuff.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
A lot of these dudes ain't grown. They in their second childhood. You know what I mean?
I believe it.
40, still thinking like an 18-year-old.
Right.
Man. I love my life. I love taking my daughter and my son to school every day and getting money and
talk. That's
taking
life.
trips.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
life.
You know what I mean?
Real
Now,
talk. Yeah.
and Napoleon,
Yeah.
once you converted to Islam,
Yes.
not only can you no longer do music,
Yes.
but you can no longer listen to music.
Yeah, I don't listen to music at all. It's not really about the lyrics, you know. Like when I was talking to Noah the other day, it was like our lyrics, it's this and it's positive. In Islam, it's the musical instruments that have an effect on the heart, on the soul. And even Toronto University, they actually did a study and come to find out that certain musical instruments, when you listen to them, it releases dopamine, the same chemical that releases when you take hardcore drugs. Sometimes it make a person depressed. People might wake up in the morning depressed. They don't even know it's maybe because of song that they listen to. So in Islam, the only thing that should affect us in that way should be the Quran, which we know is the last revelation that God sent to mankind. So alhamdulillah, I have shortcomings, you know what I mean? I'm not perfect. Muslims are not perfect. Islam is. But I try my best to follow my religion to the best of my way. You know what I mean?
Right. And I actually just interviewed Malice from the Clips, who actually changed his name to No Malice.
I like Malice.
And
No Malice.
he talked about how when he was, converted to Christianity and, embraced Jesus Christ,
Yes.
he started to think about all the songs that the Clips put out and how many people committed murders listening to the Clips, sold drugs listening to the Clips, committed violent acts with their music playing in the background, and he had to deal
Same
with
with our
that.
music. You know,
Yeah,
times
that's
we
what I'm
heard
saying.
about that.
Yeah, and he
Real
had to deal with that, and come to grips with it and realize that he's not going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And is that similar to what you?
Of course, man. Like
Yeah.
I had to go through that. When in Islam we had to do something called Toba, where we repent from the music. Like I had to repent from it, where I promised God I would never go back to it. That's why when people be like, "Come and give us another verse," man, I'd literally rather die before I go back to that industry. And it's not that that industry. I didn't really get too much good out of that besides brotherhood, camaraderie, and friendship. But once I start to, man, when I used to write lyrics, honestly, I used to sit down and say, I want people to think the devil wrote this himself. So I know that it was some evil spirits messing with me. You know what I mean? So, but
That Hennessy.
Hennessy
don't got
Hennessy don't help. You know what I mean? But he right. But I'm glad that I was able to move over it, away from it. But when they still in the music industry.
And let me go ahead. No.
Go ahead.
No, I cut you off. Go ahead,
Like
bro.
they still in the music industry. I don't look down on people in the music industry. I just don't want to deal with the music side of it. You know what I mean?
You know the awesome thing is though, we made a lot of classic records, and our music represents hope and inspiration
And growth, because at one point in
it
time,
always has.
our
You know what I'm
lyrics
saying?
was similar. You know what I mean? We talked about killing and drug dealing and, all kind of different shit. But as men, we progressed to a point and maybe career-wise suffered somewhat because we chose not to pack our albums with that music. Even to this day, me and No, if you listen to our latest album, you ain't gonna really find none of that because I don't live that life no more. My music reflects how I'm living right now.
Right.
So I'm not on no corners. You know what I mean? I'm not running around chasing girls. You know what I mean? I don't do that no more. So my music reflects how I live right now. And if you could take something from it, then that's beautiful. If not,
And
then
the
you
lyrics,
gotta,
like I said, and sorry to cut you off, man. Go ahead.
Nah, go ahead.
Like it's the lyrics, in Islam, poetry always had an effect. I mean, poetry has always been part of Islam. If you look at how poetry got into America through slavery, they have records that the slaves that came from West Africa, the ones who are Muslim, used to always do poetry chants. Because poetry from the time of the Prophet Muhammad has always been it's the culture of Islam. So nothing wrong with lyrics and having positive lyrics and things like that. You know what I mean? So it's times that I think about some of the lyrics we said, and I would say majority of it, we was trying to bring out a positive message.
Period.
We might have some negative stuff, of course, we can't front, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Because we didn't really have no guidance back
No doubt.
then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I listen to some of our old stuff. I would never say some of that stuff.
We was
these days.
retarded, man.
I listen when I make music. I try to listen from a standpoint of when I'm riding and I'm listening to it. When I got my daughter in the back seat, if she could actually, you know, get something from it for real. Like some of the stuff, I barely even curse in my raps these days, man. Like you might hear the dopest song and you listen to it again, like no boy ain't even curse, man. You know what I mean? It's like we're not rapping. I'm not trying to be these little kids. I'm rapping from a grown man perspective that done been through a whole lot and appreciative to be where I'm at. You know what I mean?
And a lot of times in rap, that's not popular.
Right. It's not
You
at
know
all.
what I mean?
It's not
That's
at
not
all.
popular. It's all.
They
But-
going crazy about Jay-Z for doing grown man rap right now.
Yeah.
Like we've been doing that for since we was kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and as you know, Jay-Z is on record as saying that he dumbed down his lyrics to, you know, to get to the paper and get to a certain level of popularity, and that's what he had to do for his career. You know what I mean? Obviously, it worked. You know, he's taking some backlash now because of what he decided to say in his music, but it come with the territory. I say better late than never.
Me too.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Now, I'd heard there's going to be an Outlawz movie.
Yeah, Outlaw Modals.
That's going to be the name.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how far in the process is it?
The script is
it's-
done.
It's pretty
The
much.
script is done.
The script is absolutely done.
Okay.
You know, and it's based on me and Edie, but it's obviously everybody's story included. You know what I mean? Because you know, from 1996 till now, me and him is the only two who've been consistent the whole time doing it. From musically, Fatal.
Yeah.
He was solo from '96 till 2010. He was a solo artist. You know what I mean? He came back and died in 2015. So it's from our perspective, but it's our story as a collective, and it's awesome, man. Like it's gonna shake the world, man.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And it focuses on the whole story. From
Absolutely. I mean, it's not, I'm not gonna give you too much detail, but it's all the members, it's our story, and this is every single scene is the truth, almost word for word. You know what I mean?
So the script is done.
Script is done. Got a whole lot of
Still a lot of work to do.
still a lot of good work to do, a lot of great
gonna
interest, you
definitely
know what I
take some
mean?
work
But
to get into the
it's
script.
gonna be when it's done, we just want everybody to be happy and proud. You know what I mean?
Right.
Us three, Castro, Kadafi, Fatal, you know what I mean? Pac looking down. We want everybody to be like, okay,
And
these guys told their story.
what I said to other people after watching the Tupac movie was I kind of compared it to what happened with the Steve Jobs story. The Steve Jobs story came out. I think was it Ashton Kutcher starred in it or something like that.
They did two of them. But
Yeah,
Right.
that's the point. The first movie came out, it did okay, and it tried to cover the whole story. Some years later, they came out with another Steve Jobs story, and instead of focusing on the whole story, they focused on one period of time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they got
Don Cheadle did something similar with the Miles Davis story.
Right.
He focuses on a
focus
period
on okay, everyone knows the story. Here is focusing on more of an emotional kind of situation with this particular person. And I always felt with the Tupac story, this was not the last Tupac movie that's going to come out. There's going to be other versions of the Tupac story.
Yeah.
And maybe the Outlaw Immortals.
Oh, the Outlaw Models
is going to be that.
Is serious business.
But be clear, it's not the Tupac story part 2.
Period.
It's our story post September 13th, 1996. You know what I mean?
After Tupac dies.
Absolutely. We'll travel back here and there on specific events that
Flashbacks.
involve us as a group and him, but we're not trying to tell his story. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave that for other people.
Yeah, you're not gonna see All Eyes on Me again. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's our journey. You know what I mean?
That's what's up, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait to see it.
It's a
You
story
rarely be
that's gonna
around.
surprise a lot of people.
Artists rarely be around to live long enough to even tell their story. You know what I mean? We're not trying to wait till we gone for, my cousins and them to be trying to tell my story.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, man, I'm glad I had a part in capturing this right here.
Man, who else we gonna come to,
Right.
man? You our brother, man. You know
That's
what I mean?
what it is, man.
Come on.
You know, I'm happy.
Next
y'all.
time we come here, though, you're gonna have to actually sit with us on camera.
I got you.
I'm sure your viewers.
Everybody looking for Vlad, man.
I'm sure your viewers.
Look,
know
I
that.
got-
I got cousins like,
Right.
yo, do you really know what he look like?
Right, like what you, yo, somebody asked me, yo, do y'all really be there with Vlad, or he
Maybe
just,
that's just
Like,
I'm
you
like,
a mystery,
come on,
bro.
yo.
You the mystery
You
man, man.
you
are
have to be
an
on-
enigma.
That's
Y'all
fine.
right.
I'll be
the
there.
next one you on camera with us, bro.
I'll be there.
Period.
I'll be there.
sure.
Well,
All right.
guys, yo,
Thanks,
congratulations
man.
for everything you guys did.
Appreciate it.
Man.
Looking forward to everything you guys do in the
We
future,
working,
man.
man.
You guys have bright,
Thanks.
bright
Shout out
futures
to
ahead.
Napoleon. He got a documentary as well, man.
Right. I've seen it.
You know,
Yeah, shout out
it's
to him, man.
beautiful,
Yeah.
man. You know what I mean?
And we gonna work on it, man.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the movie,
Yeah,
I'm
we on, baby.
gonna sneak in the movie for the Outlaw movie as
Exactly,
well.
exactly.
I'm behind
You
the
already
scenes
know.
and
He
everything.
there, baby. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having
Outlaw
us.
for life.